We're here today with author Shahriar, and he's going to share a little bit about his new book, A Whale Suicide. His friends call him Sean, and so I'm going to call him Sean as well throughout the interview. But thanks for joining us, Sean. Tell us a little bit about your book and some of the inspiration behind it.
Sure. First of all, I appreciate you having me and giving me the opportunity to talk about my book. First, let me tell you why I called it A Whale Suicide. Once in a while, a group of whales go to the shore, and in a group, they commit suicide. No scientists came up with a good explanation why they do that. There are some theories, but we don't know why they are doing that. The story which I have in this book is very similar to that. It's a story of my friend who was a very good student at a very well-known university in Tehran, Iran. That university was equivalent to Stanford, Berkeley, and best university in the United States. The graduate of that school would come get their PhD from MIT or Stanford, lots of Iranian students.
Wow.
But what he did, and his tuition was free there, and he was even getting a pocket money. When he was going to the cafeteria to have the best food, if that food outside university was, for sake of argument, was $20, he would pay only $2. But why would this guy goes against governments? And why did he go to jail and he ran away? And he wished Shah of Iran at that time. At that time, Shah of Iran was in power. He went against Shah, and he said Khomeini came. When Khomeini came, he find out his dream really did not come true. And his dream, it seems that his dream was murdered. He was killed. So he kind of joined some of his friends. So they form a group to go against the government. While the government they thought is not powerful, but he was wrong. It was more powerful. He was captured. And shall I briefly at this point tell the story?
Yeah, I think you can kind of tell us where you came in and kind of just give us some background on the inspiration, but we might leave a little bit of a cliffhanger so that our audience has to go out and get your book too. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the inspiration and how you decided to kind of transition his story into this book that you've written.
Now, as I said, he had a good life, but what he did, he went actually against that. And when Khomeini came, it was exactly like whale suicide, because he committed suicide. Now he went to jail, and he had to run away. And later on, I'm going to explain you, for him to run away, it cost him a lot. I met actually, my inspiration for writing the book actually was the fact that I met him. I received a phone call that he's in the hospital. When I was teaching at Fresno State University, I received a phone call that he's in a heart hospital and he's in a bed in ICU. And he wanted me to go and visit him because he didn't have anybody else. So I went there, and after some discussion, I found out that he had a stroke, and that was his second stroke. And he told me that, I told him what happened. He said, when I remember when I was running away, what happened to me in Pakistan, and how sad and how disappointing was that, that really bothered, that backflashed me. When I saw my 5-year-old son body was given to me by the guy who was smuggling us out of the Pakistan border. Iran and Pakistan have a border in Balochistan. And he gave me my son's body. That really, when I remember that, I had that stroke, because that was a that was reminding me that moment. Unfortunately, he died. But before he dies, he told me, my diary is in my office, home office. Please go and read my story. How did I get to this? How I was deceived by some people who had some communist ideas and things like that. And I felt they are right. When they were coming and telling me, you see this building, which is 10th story, and this, you see this construction worker, that building, half of that belonged to this construction worker, not to them. I believed them. When they were talking how good communists is, how good this government is, I believed them. And I was placed in a situation, and I was thinking wrong at that time, that I lost my, I lost money, I lost the life of the people which I loved, those people which I had encouraged them to come again, go against Shah, and wish Khomeini to come back, to be able to run away from my own country and find a safe place to live. And he told me, go read my diary. And I read his diary, and I found his diary was fascinating. Partly was his story, is really the history of how revolution happened, how people were deceived. In here, I didn't use the real name of my friend for obvious reason, and he didn't want me to use the real name. But the story is real. When and I called him Parviz. This is actually a story of hundreds of the Parviz. Hundreds of the Parviz who decided to commit suicide, like whales. Like whales, they commit suicide, and they fell in a dark hole, which is extremely difficult to come out of that dark hole now. It has been 43 years, and it is very difficult. This guy, to be able to run away from the country, 3 of his relatives, which he loved them very much, gave their life. One of them knowingly and telling him, my son, because when he was in jail, they asked him, he got very sick. He was tortured and he had gum disease, and they told him that you'll come to TV and confess to something which you haven't done, or you regret what you had done. And he said, you know, I'm very sick. How can I come there and confess? And they said, okay, we give you a sick vacation. You can go 2 weeks, because they didn't have facility at jail. And maybe in Tehran hospital, one of the Tehran's hospital, you go to the hospital, but there is one condition. You have to put your house, your family has to put their house and a land as a collateral. And your father has to take your place. The day that his father hugged him to say goodbye, he murmured in his ear, my son, I have lived my life. Take the hand of your 2 children, and if possible, your wife. And we talked with a smuggler who smuggled Iranian out of the country from Pakistan. There is a border between Iran and Pakistan in a state called Balochistan. I don't want you to even look back. We pay him whatever he wants to. Go find a safe place to live. The father went to jail. When he was in Pakistan here, his father was hanged, because they told them, if you don't come back, we have your father. His wife was arrested also, which he loved dearly. So he had to pay a very high cost. But what eventually happened to him is told in this story. And really, to me, this was his story. This was a whale suicide. Still, people don't know why they did that. Exactly the same way they don't know why whales commit suicide. There are some theories in here. There are some theories like whales, which we have some theories, but nobody knows why people did such thing, you know. So that is basically story of one person who represent a group of persons.
Well, Sean, thank you so much. I can't think of a better way to remember the legacy of a friend, and like you said, many other stories that are similar to his, of sacrifices that people made during the Iranian Revolution and just all the different things that were going on at that time. And so thank you for sharing about that, for writing this and remembering him. And so is there any last thing you want to share with our audience before we end today?
Sure. One of the things which this book, I think, given to my American audience and audience in the free world to appreciate what they have. Here in the United States, you can tell whatever you want to. You can study whatever you want to. Unfortunately, some people don't appreciate what they have. When you read this book, probably help you to appreciate and understand some people in other parts of the world, what they go through to find peace of this freedom, to find a safe place to live and do whatever they want to, while in other parts of the country, if they say something which the government doesn't like it, then in trouble. Right now in Iran, we hear that a woman was killed, Mahsa Amini was killed because she didn't wear a hijab. She wanted not to cover her hair. She got killed, and people all over the world and in Iran are raising, what is the big deal about this? You know what I'm trying, and they claim that I don't know what happened to men if see the hair of the women, and here in the United States we see everybody without hijab and nothing happened to us. But this book actually gives you a different view, and to me it might be something that you appreciate more what you got in the United States. Besides, it talks about the history of the other country, what is happening to the other country. One of the things is this. The other thing is that there are still some people in small countries which they think communism or things like that is better than capitalism. When they read this kind of book, they understand this is not true. The communism, a regime which is the religion run the country, not necessarily works better. In US and in the West, a long time ago, state and the government separated from each other, which was something very good. In some countries, not like that. So not only for my American reader, Western reader, that would be good. For the readers who are from smaller country and they still think communism or I don't know, running the country based on the laws, certain religion would work better. Possibly by reading this book, they will find out that's not the case.
Well, you can get out and purchase a copy, very impactful book, A Well Suicide. It's available online through Amazon, through Barnes & Noble. Also, you can download it on your Kindle through iTunes, through the book app. But get out there, grab a copy of A Well Suicide. Thank you again for allowing us this opportunity, Sean. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.